Hi, everybody. Kevin Harned Ryan Hoke with you on what is called Champions Day at Churchill Downs. And we've made it back into the comforts of the studio. A little bit cooler in here.
Yes, it is a little bit cooler today. It's like way too hot outside for this time of year. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we got close to 90 degrees today. And I mean, that was warm. We were in the 80s. And we'll be close to 90 tomorrow. For folks just jumping in, we've got the Derby forecast coming up. So we'll let a few folks get in the room. If you have a chance to share this, share it, like it, give us some love. We're looking at your comments. So I see some of you saying hello, no matter where you are. There's Joshua from Oldham. We've got Jackson saying hey. We've got Sherry saying, I look burnt.
Yeah, burnt?
I'm not burnt yet, but I tend to turn red before I brown up a little bit. So, yeah, we'll see how the tomorrow treats me.
Plenty of time to burn tomorrow, unfortunately. You might be medium rare by the end of the day.
Yeah, today we were like plopped right in the middle of the paddock, and it was just scorching hot. And I'm like, are we going to stand out here all day? Like this might not go as well as I had envisioned because it's going to be hot. Well, little did I know the equipment would have a meltdown before I did. So if you've ever used your iPhone or iPad, the good old Apple products, they're like, they slam the brakes on whenever they get hot.
Yeah, sometimes if I turn on my heater in the car and it's like mounted on that where the air conditioner vent is, and boop, then I lose my phone and my GPS. So very similar to that today. So had to pivot a little bit.
Yeah, and so anyway, we always have a backup plan. Hey, who won the boat race? I missed it.
They have not determined an official winner yet. They're going to do that via press release this evening here.
Oh, so, really?
The judges have to do all their stuff. I don't know how that works.
I mean, so who crossed the bridge first?
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear, but you know how that goes.
Make sure there's no disqualification.
I don't know how any of that works. I'm sure there's a thick rule book that's probably 2 pages that dictates how that works.
I remember when the Delta Queen, they used to have help turning it around.
Oh my gosh!
So
yes,
back in the day.
Yes, I remember that.
Anyway, all right. Several folks in. We're going to go through the Oaks Derby forecast. You saw the few clouds we have now. There is a small chance of a shower or thunderstorm this evening, but not really a big deal. Show you that on the radar coming up. Let's talk Oaks and Derby because the rain chances are still there, especially for obviously Oaks Day. Derby Day, we still don't have high resolution data. Still a question mark. Still have that rain chance, but we're going to keep it scattered. So that's sort of the overview of the Oaks and Derby forecast. Temperatures, obviously, with the clouds and the rain, will be cooler than what we've seen yesterday, today, or what we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, so no 90s for both Oaks and Derby here, for better or for worse, but we'll watch the rain chances here and go through those in detail coming up here in just a minute. But in order for us to figure out what the weather's going to do, we have to know what it's doing right now, and that is warm. Temperatures still in the 80s. I want to bring you to the radar. Something happened that was interesting during our 7 o'clock news tonight. We did have a rogue severe thunderstorm warning for the Evansville area. That has since been allowed to expire, but you see those downpours out there. Not staying very organized at this time. Everything's moving very slowly, not a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere, but we could see a couple more of these downpours try to pop up next couple hours.
Yeah, and the reason for that is the collision where you see them collide together gives a little more upward motion, so it gave a little more strength to that storm than it would have otherwise normally had. So we're not expecting any severe weather around here. In fact, that cluster of storms will likely fade, and you can see the others to the north of that have faded. This one will too. Doesn't mean it won't clip parts of Perry County. You could get a quick shower as it starts to fade away, but the persistent nature of this will not continue. Now, that boundary is just to our north, so southern Indiana stays in the better zone to see some of these showers or possibly thunderstorm tonight.
Yeah, and you can see this convective complex as well near St. Louis. That's kind of lifting toward the north. Don't think that's going to affect us very much, but nonetheless, it's just kind of owing to the fact that this boundary is nearby at this time. As we zoom things out even more, I mean, the severe weather machine continues from West Kansas down to the southern plains areas near like Dumas, Texas, under a tornado warning right now. At least one confirmed tornado out there today, Kevin. And my goodness, this continues because, this kind of recurring pattern continues to have that trough out to the west, and it throws up all these storms in the afternoons, and they've got another enhanced risk today.
Well, and that's what we've seen day after day through the weekend. Nebraska, Iowa, yesterday, parts of Oklahoma. What a radar signature that was for all the weather geeks out there. You probably saw just how tight that couplet was. Wicked storms. And again, while the enhanced risk area for today is out to the west, we see that diminish just a little bit to at least a slight risk area across parts of northern Texas and far southwest Oklahoma as we go into Thursday, and then Friday down to a marginal risk with the target area moving up into Kansas and Nebraska.
So that's what's going on out to our west. Let's go back home here, and tomorrow's 90-degree high temperature for Thurby. It's going to mean some crispy critters are running around the track, and yes, we mean patrons of the track tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough. The good news is I think tomorrow the all-inclusive beverage and food starts to kick in.
Okay.
If you don't have the general admission, which is pretty much relegated to the infield.
Right.
I think that kicks in for Thurby. Could be wrong. Don't hold me to it. Fact is, if you are having to buy your drinks, even water.
Yes.
I mean, I think, what did I see? The mint julep and the Oaks, $22.
Yeah. You were correct. I saw that on Facebook last night. It was like, holy cow.
Yeah, I was out there opening night, and I was like, oh, hey, let me get you a drink. I was like, holy moly.
I think I saw a bottle of water, $6 on that same menu. I mean, goodness gracious. Okay. That's going to be a little pricey. So make sure you're staying hydrated.
Inflation.
I know.
Yikes.
They've got drinking fountains. Use those.
Yes. But say take the bottle in, that probably get confiscated.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't think
you might be able to refill your water bottle with the sink somewhere, so that might help too. So something to think about there as you're out to the track.
Tomorrow is the hot day. That's the thing. Partly sunny sky, 90 for the high. It's not the earliest, because the earliest we had was way back, wasn't all that long ago, 2011. So that was April the 10th. So this would be what, the 9th earliest?
Yeah, 9th earliest since 1873 here. If we do indeed hit 90 degrees on Thursday, our average is May 31st, and the latest was July 14th. 1915. We were obviously alive both at that point. The Kentucky Oaks.
Feel like it.
Yeah, well, this week ages you every year. I'll tell you what, ages all of us here. Something that's going to age us even more, these rain chances here for Oaks. This has been kind of a mess to deal with this week from a forecasting perspective. And, now this is leaking a little bit into Derby, and it's like, okay, where is this going to end at this point? And we don't have the high-res data for Derby just yet, but we have it for Oaks, and this is kind of what our forecast is spitting out.
Yeah, I think it's important to know on this. It doesn't rain all day, but there will be at least chances of rain throughout the day. And when we break it down by hour, you can see we're wavering between a 60-70% chance from the morning hours. So I think the rain moves in 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And temperatures are going to much hold steady near that 70-degree mark. And then there will be impulses that increase that rain chance at times throughout the day. We see that 70% chance at 9 a.m., again at 6 p.m. But then we have an even bigger slug of moisture thanks to another pocket of energy that moves in Friday evening. So what we look for in this would be any type of vorticity max that would go up to enhance the precipitation. And that's what we're banking on seeing Friday evening. So for folks that are headed out, a lot of people go to the dinner after the Oaks, some of the parties after the Oaks. You're just going to have to be prepared to have a poncho and be prepared for some rain. So let's walk through it on the future, Cap.
Yeah, so 8 o'clock in the morning, here comes some heavy downpours at times. Not all of these will be heavy, by the way. Some of them may be. I tried to put a little bit of a damper on the rain chance by about noontime or so, as you see here. It's not going to be as widespread, but notice as we head toward the Oaks race in the evening and beyond, the rain chance starts to go up. Now, this version of Futurecast tries to kind of diffuse things by midnight. Not sure how that's going to work out, but nonetheless, it brings in another wave of rain by early Saturday morning here. And some of these rainfall totals in some of the heavier downpours and thunderstorms could be on the order of, an inch or more in some cases. So that's something to watch.
Yeah, and let me just point out, we can look at these Futurecast models all day. And the fact is, we're looking at trends. Don't hold yourself to that place, that time. So if we looked at this, we'd be like, oh, there's rain in New Albany, 11 a.m. on Friday.
Yeah,
just keep in mind that the pattern, the scattered nature, you notice it's not raining everywhere all day, but there are showers that push past most places throughout the day. And that's the key. Now, whether we have an impulse coming in at race time or 10 a.m. or 5 p.m., question mark. It looks like there's going to be a chance throughout the day. Timing out the more specifics is really tough this far in advance. So I just wanted to point out that that's impossible to pinpoint this far in advance, even though I know it's Wednesday and we're only looking ahead to Friday. So that's the idea. Now, those rain totals that Ryan mentioned, same thing. If you get under repetitive rain, you're going to have the higher totals, obviously. So saying that Litchfield's going to wind up, or Hardensburg or Munfordville are going to wind up with the highest total, no, maybe not. The idea is that some places are going to get a half inch of rain or less, and other places might get more than an inch of rain. And picking that out is, again, impossible this far in advance. This model changes. Even today, it's changed from where the heaviest rain is. It'll change 100 more times between now and Friday.
So it's more so a simulation, right? Don't pinpoint this to be exact here. That brings us to Derby. Now, Derby's rain chance has gone up a little bit today, but there's some reasoning behind this here. And first off, we will have some showers in the morning, most likely, left over from what happens on Friday night. So that's why we carry that 40% shower chance into the morning hours. By the afternoon, we may start to lose that influence, which would be good, and especially by the Derby race itself. We may see some additional showers, especially drizzle, try to pop up during the afternoon. We'll see how that works out. What we were seeing today in the data is that it's very saturated in the low levels of the atmosphere, meaning we could have some low cloud cover through a good chunk of the day. Doesn't mean we won't see sunshine. It just means that those clouds may be pesky at times, and they may come with a little bit of drizzle. We'll be able to fine-tune this forecast here, so don't just look at this and say, oh, I'm done. That's the forecast. Keep coming back here over the next couple of days. This will evolve. We'll be able to kind of shore this up and tighten up those rain chance windows as well. We don't like having them so wide like they are now, but the confidence just isn't there for just kind of like hour this, hour that, hour this, hour that. We'll get to that point though, but we're just not there yet.
Yeah, and again, it's such a every day is an important forecast, but this obviously affects with that many people outdoor. What we have to watch for, especially Friday, would be any stroke of lightning that would be possible with any of those. By Saturday, it doesn't look like this would be convective, meaning there would not be lightning strikes that we would have to worry about, but it would be the fact that we could have some of that morning rain, and as it fades, do we push that out and lift the canopy of clouds enough to where we don't have to worry about the drizzle, and it's still uncertain. So we've just sort of broad brushed it with a scattered rain chance through the day at this point. And then as we get that high res data that we've mentioned, we'll be able to fine tune that just a bit more. So when we look at the maps on this for Derby Day, again, you're going to notice it's just broad brushed because we do not have the high res data. Temperatures are held down because of the clouds and the rain chance. Obviously, the darker colors are where you'd have the greater potential, and you can see that does move to the east as the day wears on. So some good news there. The high-res data will help us really put that more into focus of just how far east the movement is on that. All right. And then we get into next week because we don't stop at Derby, right? We have to continue forecasting. I mean, it'd be nice.
Right? Oh, wait.
Maybe we could just turn this over to Carson on Sunday and be like, good luck, pal.
Give him the car keys and be like, we're going home. Sorry. Bye.
Yeah, we've had enough. This is tough. The Oaks and Derby forecast, Thurby, Oaks and Derby, anytime you have complications in the weather, it makes it tough because you want to be as precise as you can, because that's what people want to know. They're like, well, do I go? Do I stay home? Do I ditch the clothes? Do I wind up changing my outfit? Am I going to need a poncho? Because you can't take umbrellas in. There's so many restrictions. Right. It's like, well, how am I supposed to make plans if I don't know what the weather's going to be like? What about the race? Is it going to rain on the race? Do we need to bet the mutter? Lots of those questions that we've gotten over the last, many years, but in particular this past week. So pinpointing the exact timing and placement is tough even from the day of, much less days in advance. So that's why we say keep coming back. With that said, we already are watching next week. And I see that Chris is already asking, hey, what are the trends on the SIPs and the CSU for early next week in terms of severe weather for the viewing area? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is kind of just a quick rundown of what we'll see, especially Tuesday and Wednesday. Those are the biggest days in question here. You see that we do have a front that tries to approach as we go throughout early Wednesday morning. I'll draw that front. Boop, it's right here in the blue here. That cold front would try to drill through a pretty decent chance of rain during that time. And here's what you were asking about there, Chris. This is the CSU MLP. It's the Colorado State University Machine Learning Program here. Essentially, it's the AI severe weather outlook here. We'll take this full so you can see it just a little bit better, and I'll draw a couple of things. First off, this right here is Monday that you'll see, and that Monday outlook is just kind of a general, thunderstorm risk, no big deal. It's Tuesday of next week that we're a little bit more concerned about, and that's kind of the bottom center of your screen right here. I don't know why that turned white all of a sudden. That was weird. But you'll notice that it does have, there it's blue again, some risk of severe weather, possibly a slight risk over us. Again, this is not the Storm Prediction Center. A human has not evaluated this. This is a straight machine output here. But it does have it for Tuesday. And once again, some slight risk potential as we head through Wednesday. This is very general because of the distance in advance that we are from these 2 days. But these seem to be the 2 days that the models and the AI are both kind of looking at for severe weather potential around here. We'll be able to resolve this with a greater fine-tooth comb as we get closer to it. But for those of you, kind of keep this in the back of your mind that this is a severe weather, set up for us potentially Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Nothing is set in stone. And another thing to keep in mind too is that, we have to get through this weekend first. There's a system to get through, of course, here for Friday. Once we kind of get through the train of systems that's going to be moving through for, of course, Friday, and then once again, another kind of chance of rain there Sunday into Monday. We'll be able to bring this into greater focus, and the models will be able to see where the players on the field are going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, we're having trouble with Oaks and Derby. So.
I know, let alone next week.
We don't know next week.
And that's why we're being so generic with this, because there's no reason for us to get everybody up into a tizzy about something that's so far in advance when we're still having trouble with Friday.
But the idea is we are watching it. We have alerted people to say, hey, we haven't put the alert day tag on it. Obviously, we have not enough data to do that yet. Just for the AI data, that's not enough to be like, okay, well, that's pinpointing it. So no, we have criteria that we meet before we push the alert day. And sometimes that doesn't happen until just a couple of days, hopefully in advance. Some folks asking some questions here. What are MPINGs? And MPINGs are important pieces of data for us that come from you.
MPING stands for Meteorological Precipitation Identification Near Ground. And essentially, this is a program that the University of Oklahoma and the National Weather Service have co-opted on here. We can show those MPING reports live on television and on, of course, Wave Weather Now. You can see I've popped up our MPING reports for this evening. There are none out to our west. Nobody's kind of awake in Evansville to do that here. But you can see hail, you can see precipitation type, wind, flood, etc. So you can, of course, make those reports on the MPING app, MPING, in your app store. Real easy to do, and we can show them on TV.
Yeah, and it's free, and it helps us and everybody else in the weather enterprise get that information, especially if you think of winter weather. Is it freezing rain? Is it sleet? Is it snow? Super helpful, because it can be just, a couple of a very short distance between the changes of those precipitation. In severe weather, it helps in wind instances. Mm-hmm. Are we breaking twigs? Are we just blowing trash cans? Or are trees coming down? Are roofs being blown off? And you can, sort of delineate those wind speeds that way. Very helpful when we're in the middle of severe weather or active winter weather to know truly what's happening. So we always appreciate those that chime in on the MPING reports.
Yeah, very helpful to us here, and we love to use them on TV.
All right. What else do we have here? Let's see.
Should I ride my motorcycle to work Sunday morning, says Nick.
Have at it.
Oh, yeah, if you want.
There's a rain chance.
Yeah, check the radar before you leave.
Yeah, never a good idea to ride in the rain, right? I'm sure for folks that have bikes, they know that. Even the ones with the gear. I just find that, because of everybody else and the traffic, it's so much more dangerous if the road is wet.
Yes.
One person like swinging over too soon is like, oh.
That's why I have a big bruise on my knee from October. Got in a bike wreck because the wet leaves were on the cul-de-sac.
From your motorcycle?
Bicycle. Do I look like a motorcycle guy to you?
I mean, it's possible.
It could happen. I had a professor in college that rode a motorcycle who was just this big, tall Norwegian guy. And we were like, are you kidding me? You ride a motorcycle? It was kind of fun. He was awesome.
We've got a lot of folks just saying where they're from. Tanya's saying thank you for keeping us safe and alert. Love you guys. Well, we appreciate you watching, so thank you. Folks watch from near and far. There's one from Nicholasville. This is Ralph saying hello. Bottom line is we broadcast on all of our digital streams when we do do these, and we do them twice a day this week. Brian does it always in the mornings between 9 and 10 a.m. usually, barring breaking news, and sometimes he gets bumped out of this room. But the fact is, we want to make sure that we at least give you an update with a little more discussion than what we're able to do on TV. So this week being Derby week, we said, hey, a lot of people try to make plans. If they have questions, let's jump on and answer them. And we know tomorrow's going to be a bigger day than today. Several hundred of you in here today. That's just on our social. This doesn't count our digital weather stream, which is Wave Weather Now.
Right, because we send those push notifications out from our weather and our news app. So a lot of folks are watching us on our own websites and our own, like connected TV apps like Wave Now here. And that's honestly the best way to see us because you get that 24-hour treatment there. You can always put it on in the background, and then we'll chime in from time to time on these broadcasts. And then during our newscasts too, our weathercasts actually go to Wave Weather Now. So it's the only local 24/7 weather stream that you can get here in Louisville, and it comes out from a room that's just a few dozen feet in that direction there behind our cameras there. And we curate all of this content that you see on there by hand, not only the automated stuff, but of course things like this where we're able to talk to you live here. And of course we're on YouTube as well, so these live streams are there too. Looks like Kevin, you're trying to
I was trying to see if we had something from the boat race.
Oh yeah,
I still don't know who won. I mean, clearly it looked like the Belle of Cincinnati.
It's one of those deals where they were just like, well, we don't have a winner yet, and they're going to have some sort of thing at the festival. But
they're going to go arm wrestle over it.
I guess that's the deal, even though Cincinnati clearly won.
It's been a while since we've been on the boats. Brian and I used to race on the boats.
Yes,
we really had no part besides being on the boat.
Yeah,
but I mean, it was kind of fun. We did a lot of trash talking back and forth.
And the trash talking today was epic, by the way. It was Sean Bowdy and Natalia. And
Bowdy's full of trash talk.
Oh, my gosh. That dude can trash talk you up a wall.
He did beat me at the axe throwing again this year at the bed races. I had to buy him ice cream again. That's 2 years in a row.
That's why he volunteers for that, I think.
Yeah. I think
he wants some free ice cream.
We finally had a bed in the race this year.
Yes, we did. PRP welding program there at the high school did a great job.
Did you notice that the folks in charge of that never invited any of the weather team to be a part of the bed? Like they did not want our pushing prowess behind the bed?
I think it was for insurance reasons because we would hurt ourselves pretty bad. Like they see how coordinated we are, and they went, no, sorry. We've got a whole team of folks much younger than those weather folks in there that can help us out.
We used to push the bed. Tom, John, myself.
Back in the 90s.
Tom drove the thing.
Yeah.
We wound up doing pretty well.
Maybe we should try again.
No, I'm out. Unless I'm driving. You don't want to push this.
I don't know if the gray television liability insurance would let us do that at this point.
No, I'm thinking not. All right. We digress. Let's see if we have any questions. I'll put up the SkyTrack.
Yeah, it looks like Steven says, or Nick, I should say, Nick Decker says, not even going to chance it on the motorcycle Sunday morning. Thanks, guys. You are welcome. Let's see here. Shonda, our friend Shonda up there in Jeffersonville, sometimes the models don't necessarily see past one or two other weather elements. I think that makes sense. It's kind of like a train. If you can't get where the engine is going, you're definitely not going to know where the caboose is going at that point. So you really do have to get through some of these weather events before you get a clear picture.
Well, and the idea on that is also, what happens today affects what happens tomorrow and down the road, meaning also on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So it's ripple
all
effect.
Compounding, right? So you have to make sure that each one goes the way it should for the next one to be correct.
Think of it as just throwing a pebble into the puddle or pond, and those ripples as they go out start throwing more and more things at it as the weather happens, and you get a little more chaotic. So in time, as that gets closer and closer to the shore, it's very chaotic. That's what happens in the modeling. So the further out you go, the more chaotic the models are. It doesn't paint a clear picture, and the closer you are, the more precise we are. And that's why we know tomorrow's going to be hot, generally dry. By Friday, we see the rain chance. We will be able to start to pinpoint that in even better than we are now, or at least with more confidence, we hope, by the time tomorrow rolls around.
Ethan Beverly's on the line here. He says, hopefully no more severe weather for the rest of the year. And the reason he puts LOL on that, bless you.
Excuse me. And I'm sorry to turn your way.
This sneeze brought to you by Family Allergy. And
I was going to turn the mics off, and I was like, well, that
too little, too late. But Ethan says LOL on that because Ethan is in Henry County, and he was involved with a tornado earlier this year, sent us some photos of the damage there. So, yeah, Ethan, you and Henry County have all seen way too much severe weather for one season there. So hopefully we can get through without it. But unfortunately, next week, there's another chance. We'll see how it goes. Too far out to say for sure.
I think Sean,
bottle of ketchup.
I didn't see this because I was making my way back from the track.
Yes.
But I can understand what this means.
What happens is that Natalia gave Sean was on the Bell of Cincinnati, Natalia was on the Bell of Louisville, a gift bag, blue gift bag. And she said, don't you dare touch this until I tell you to live on TV when we're in a 2-box, right? So you have Sean and Natalia in a 2-box on TV where you can see both of their faces. And she says, okay, Sean, open up the bag. And he takes out the, the tissue paper, puts it in his pocket, and brings out this nice bottle of Heinz ketchup. And she's like, I got that so that maybe you could catch up to us. And of course, he turned it on its head and said, wait a minute, you gave me your bottle of ketchup. You needed this. Lol, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was clever. Natalia thinks like that.
Well, they have a lot of fun, that's for sure. The boat races are fun. And I tell you, everybody on the boats, today would be a perfect day to be out on the river because it was hot.
Yeah.
Hot. So nice breeze out there. They're all drinking. Most of these things are sponsored by bourbon companies. So they're all,
I wonder why.
tanked up on bourbon on the boats.
You folks met some of those folks out there too at the track today.
Well, yeah. Yeah. There's no shortage of bourbon flowing in the city or whatever else they might be. I think they were just trying to stay hydrated, And then when you're the one working, it's like even worse because you're like watching it all unfold.
I think at one point, I do remember it was John saying, if you've got a camera and 2 guys with microphones, standing in front of it, they might be live on television. You might want to leave them alone.
That didn't matter. Nope. Like we need like a cage to put us in.
Be sure to watch our coverage of Thurby tomorrow, by the way. The news starts at 4:00 from out there so that you can see what Kevin and John get into next, because I think this is classic must-see TV.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. It gets progressively worse each day.
And it gets hot tomorrow, too, so let's add that in as a variable.
I did see, we meet a lot of people when we're out there, which is fabulous. But one of the owners from a local liquor store chain came up, and they were like, so really, what's the forecast going to be? I mean, as though we've been like lying to them.
Yeah, it's like, do you have insider information?
It's going to rain on Friday and it might rain on Saturday. They're like, oh no, that just kills our sales.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I thought
it would be the opposite though, just because everybody's going to be at home instead watching
it cancels a bunch of stuff. People can't have things outside.
Now that makes sense. Outside. Yeah, patio parties. Okay, right. Now that does make sense.
I also had a chance to see Mike Anderson, the president of the track. He said they set another record. So we had a record yesterday, around 15,000. Yes. It was about 400 more than last year. And today, he said there was about 4,000 more than on this date, Champions Day last year. Okay. So it was about 25,000 people, I think, today.
That's a good crowd.
I was
25,000 at the track.
And everybody was decked, to the nines. It was nice.
And it'll be interesting to see kind of how the weather impacts everybody tomorrow with it being so hot out there. Thankfully, there's not a rain chance in sight. And then, seeing how the fashion for Oaks goes with the rain forecast, right?
All right.
See how creative everybody is.
We're going to wrap up here in a second. I'll pop up Brandon's. You may have been late to the game here, Brandon, but we did answer this about next Tuesday and Wednesday. Severe on the table. Brian seems to be concerned more about flooding. Too early to talk about which is going to really be the worst or if either will happen. But we obviously are watching it because some of the data that we have points to the fact that it could happen. And that's always something just to be like, well, let's keep an eye on it. And then day by day, as we start getting more and more data, we're able to eventually raise the flag on an alert day. So that could happen as early as the weekend should the signs continue to point that way.
We're very lucky not to have an alert day on Derby week right now. I will say that. That's that knock on plexiglass. Yeah. Because, this is such an active pattern we've been in, and we were all kind of worried going into this week, like, how's this going to unfold?
Well, like a week ago, we weren't worried at all. It was like, high pressure, this is amazing. And then it was like, shove it in reverse, and now we're like, well, we've got a storm chance every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but Friday and Saturday look good. And then it was like, no, Thursday has the highest rain chance. Now it's like, nope, Thursday doesn't even have a rain chance, and it looks like Friday's the wet day. And so that's what we've been dealing with. And we feel that if that's the way you've been thinking, because we understand that as it's changed through each model run that we've gotten, as we get closer and closer, it gets better and better, but it's still not perfect yet because we're still 2 days away.
This time of year ages us. I've said that already, but I'll say it again.
It's just part of it. This happens all the time, by the way.
Yes.
It's just that the eyes and the focus is so much greater when you have something so big that's impacted by the weather. We'll run through this in a couple of weeks with the PGA Championship.
It's almost like snow. Everybody notices minor changes in a snow forecast because everybody's paying attention. Derby's the same way. Everybody's paying attention. So those changes make a bigger impact than any other Saturday in May randomly.
I think of the eclipse, for instance, right? Because, that was a critical forecast. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Are you going to go to, Arkansas? Are you going to go to Northern Ohio? Or should you just stay around here? And boy, that was a tough call, too. Are we going to see the clouds? For a while it looked like cloudy. And it was like, well, maybe we'll see a little bit of a break. This doesn't look so bad. And we were able to, really a day or more in advance be like, I think we're going to be okay here. And boy, it was nice. It was perfect.
Yeah, I think that was a higher pressure forecast because of that once in a lifetime nature to it. Whereas Derby happens every year, right? There's always next year. There ain't next year with this eclipse. A lot of folks, this is kind of the one and done for them.
All right, we are going to jump off and we will say thank you. We will look through all the new data. We'll get another round in before the 11 o'clock news. We've been making frequent changes to the forecast. The best way to keep up with that is the Wave Weather app, because you'll see them there first. If you don't have that app, it's free in the App Store. You can search Wave 3 Weather, Wave Radar. It's there. You'll see our logo. It's the wave symbol, a little cloud and sun on it.
Yeah, and that's the best way that you can get us. And of course, there's the Wave Now app for your connected smart TV, for Amazon Fire, Roku, etc. And you can also watch Wave Weather Now on Zeam, Z-E-A-M, which is another app for your smart TV. That's really handy because you can see TV stations from all over the country.
Yeah, and that is handy. I used that the other day just to kind of check in. I was like, boy, this is powerful. I had used before that View It, which was another.
Yeah, we've kind of migrated from that to Zeem. And you can also see some of our SkyTrack cameras pop up sometimes on these dedicated WM Vision channels on there, which I think are really fun.
Yeah, we mentioned the app, but in that app, you can watch live, and that's where we have Wave Weather Now. So again, check in there. It'll take you back to old school, like the Weather Channel, where you see the text typed out. That's what we actually type out every day.
Oh, yeah.
It's what our newsroom gets. It's what our weather partners to all of our radio stations get. It's what other partners that, whether you're at Churchill Downs or the Louisville Bats or the U of L, wherever, anybody that we send the forecast to, that's what they're reading and seeing. So you can get it on Wave Weather Now and, of course, on the app.
Yeah, and so whenever there's a big event or something like that, we'll give you custom forecasts in that text. It's pretty handy stuff.
It's very nice. All right, we'll say goodbye. I'll see you back on Wave News at 11 o'clock, and we hope you have a great Thurby. Stay cool, and make sure you dress for the heat for tomorrow. See you later.
See you guys.